Okay, today I'm going to review Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. So, if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you've already probably read the book. This is one of the most popular books in the nonfiction genre since it came out in 2015. It's been everywhere. It's got a ton of press. It's very high profile. And I first read this book probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. Then I read the author's second book after that. But what I remembered about this book was that it really talked a lot about prehistory and early humans, and that's what I thought it was interesting, and I liked it the first time I read it. But I just went back and I reread it, and what really surprised me was that it's really only the first quarter of the book that talks about like prehistory, like very early humans and how they lived and that kind of stuff. And really 3/4 of this book is it's just about the stuff you know, starting with like the Sumerians and the Egyptians and then just continuing on up. It really makes me think that the title of the book should have been Civilization, A Brief History of Society. Because when I reread this book, almost the entire book is about just the evolution of human society. It's not really about sapiens, it's about society. It's about how people work together. And I think that's kind of a mismatch because there's other books that are very scientific, like Robert Sapolsky's Behave, which is a very like in-depth look at how humans act and how they think and what drives their motivations. And this book had none of that. This was like about religion and politics and how technology and all those little things intertwined and how humans went from a little group of nomads in Africa on up to where we are today. Which is okay. I mean, that's fine. But it does mean that a huge chunk of this book, the majority of this book, is covering stuff that you've probably already heard about. The journey is quite enjoyable, though. The book, it really does create a really engaging narrative throughout the entire story. Even though, I mean, there's not a lot of things you'll remember after reading the book. What I remember about this book was that I enjoyed it and that it was on the topic of humans. But if you would ask me about the book 6 months after I read it, I never would have remembered any of the details. It's very surface level, and it kind of just jumps from topic to topic as it goes through, which is fun. It's fun to read, but it kind of struck me as the book version of one of those really popular glossy documentaries that are very consumable but not really very detailed. And the book really, it has a very high production value. The pages here, they're very high quality. There's a lot of pictures and charts, so I definitely get the book version if you read it. It struck me as something that's probably better for young people or people that aren't very well read on these topics. And I did notice as I was reading this that when the author hits certain topics that are controversial, or not controversial in like a political sense, but controversial in an academic sense, where there's a lot of people who disagree about the correct way to interpret the available data, and the author just takes one path, just says that's the truth and doesn't even think twice about it or really give any credence to any other theories, which I guess you kind of have to if you're writing a brief history, as the subtitle suggests. But it did kind of grate on me a little bit just because I've read pretty in depth on certain aspects that the book covers, and when you hit those and you know more than what the author's talking about, it kind of takes you out of the story for a second. So this book, I mean, I would recommend it, but I would recommend it for someone who isn't really well versed on history. It's very interesting, it's very engaging, but yeah, if you're an adult, if you've read a lot on the topics, you're not really going to get too much out of this book. But it's a fun to read, it's enjoyable, so it has that going for it. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got some more reviews coming soon. I've got a whole bunch of them stacked up, though. I'm going to be moving very soon, so I might have a brief break, but I'm going to try to get a few reviews out really quick. So, again, hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.